Welcome everyone back to the channel. Here we're going to be talking about my Scream 3 review. Just going to dive right on into it. Scream 3 so far has been my least favorite of the three that I've watched. It's kind of gone right in order. Number 1 was the best, second was the second best, etc. Um I don't know. This movie was a little odd for my taste just due to the fact that they kind of took a different approach. They went towards more of a Hollywood type approach, which I personally did not like. I'd rather see them kind of stick to what they've been doing in the first two movies. Kind of just base it around like where Sydney's kind of living at rather than kind of forcing her into the picture, which I feel like they did quite a bit here in this movie. It was a little unfortunate to see, at least in my eyes, because she's living out in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden she's now in the midst of it right there in Hollywood, and it's like to me that just didn't fully add up. I guess I didn't personally like it just because she could have just completely stayed out of the picture and not had anything to do with it. Really, that was just all Dewey. That's all Dewey's problem at that point. I don't know why they had to involve her in it, but um, they open up the movie there with Cotton on a phone call with the Ghostface Killer, who has a voice changer that actually makes them sound like whoever they've recorded, which is actually kind of cool to see a different little take on it. That's probably one of very few highlights I liked in this movie was the fact that they tried something different with the voice and kind of forced certain people into traps. So I like that. We see another opening kill there right away with Cotton getting the well bad end of it, him and his girlfriend. So um, it sucked to see Cotton's character go because I did think he was actually decent there in the second movie, but it made sense on how they opened it up basically with his fame. He's living in a nice place now, and then ends up getting killed in the end as a part of the plan. Um, so I like that aspect of the movie. I like probably the opening scene probably the best, just due to the fact that it made more sense than the rest of the movie in my opinion. So moving on, we kind of just see Sydney living on her own in the middle of the woods, which makes sense. You know, she's trying to get away from everything that's happened. A little bit hard for her to sleep at night, but it was nice to at least see that she was trying to move on until she ended up hearing about everything, and the Ghostface Killer eventually found out where she was living due to probably torturing Cotton and getting the whereabouts of where Sydney was at. So, Sydney ended up working a suicide hotline, I believe, is what it was there in the movie, and it was something to not too out of the ordinary. It made sense. She wanted to help other people. She kind of was doing that throughout the films, anyways, helping other people by taking down the Ghostface Killer. So everything added up to that point. But as soon as we got further into the movie, with her going out to Hollywood, seeing all the actors for the new Stab movie, and then kind of just getting in the mix of it, it just for me didn't sit well. I didn't personally like that, but that's just my 2 cents on it. A little bit more of an interesting take. Only having one killer? Really? Like, I get it's a long lost brother. They want to make him look like a standout. You can tell that they were going just for a three-movie trilogy here. They reference it when we listened to Randy talking on the videotape, which I really liked because it made sense and it panned out the way Randy said it would. Um, for me, I just wish they had what they did in the first two. Like, I wish that they would have had two killers and made it make a little more sense. Like they ended up finding her out in her cabin and then end up terrorizing her out there rather than in Hollywood. I didn't like that aspect. I get it's on the stab set, but I just didn't like that whatsoever. But as we get past the whole Randy clip there of him on the VHS, we see Cindy kind of working with I think the chief of police, or at least Mark Kincaid within the movie. Played by Patrick Dempsey, who I thought was great for this movie. We later actually see him in Thanksgiving playing as the bad character in that. So it's kind of cool to see him playing a cop here in this one and trying to help her out. Towards the end of the movie, we see the parties that they were talking about, that the producer would host, and he was the reason for her mother going down the route. Basically, she went down with sleeping around with a bunch of other people, as they say there in the movies. So, um, yeah, um, as we get here, we see that Roman's basically set traps for everyone. If you guys didn't know, Roman's the killer here in the movie. Um, he set traps for everyone. He had a fake body of himself in the basement. He ends up taking out a few of them, and then so be it. Gale and Dewey are the last two. Traps him, gets Sydney out of the police department, and ends up basically getting her out there. The house is filled with a bunch of secret entrances, which is kind of cool to see because I love seeing that in houses. Um, which to me was probably another higher moment within the movie is seeing all the different like trapdoors and exits and everything that they could do within that house to get from point A to point B, which we see quite a few times with Ghostface disappearing and then reappearing from another angle because he utilized those halls and got around. One of the things I will give Roman here in this movie is the fact that he traps Sydney in one room where no one really could get into. The people that got into it were lucky. Dewey being smart shorted the energy, which or the electricity in the house, which kind of helped him get in at one point. But I do like the aspect that we did see Roman trapping Sydney there. Little did he know she was also wearing a vest, so his gunshots did nothing, and she pulled a full ghost face type appearance, which to me it was really nice to see. And we're not going to get to really see that in another movie because most of them have two killers, so you always got to tell her back. But in this one it made sense to do what she did, and you can tell they were going for a trilogy with the way they like ended that movie with her flipping the script and acting like the Ghostface killer at that point. Getting him basically set up in a trap, hits him with a nice little stab there, and then as it goes on, we see her take him down, and then everyone after that obviously pops up into the room. We see the one little last, oh, I'm gonna get you before taking him down fully, and yeah, great stuff there from Sydney. Um, just not my favorite movie. We see a bunch of like, I don't want to say like off-screen kills like everyone says. It's just like more so like not important ones in my eyes, or it just was kind of boring seeing some of them. A lot of people said it was off screen. I thought actually a decent amount of it was on screen. It was just like very like not well done. So that swayed me away from it. I didn't like the whole Hollywood type vibe to it. I mean, like the story itself, I guess makes sense with her going out there and then her brother basically being the killer. Like that part makes sense. I just didn't get why they had to make it Hollywood. I'd rather see the brother hunt her down out towards the cabin and like do something out there rather than being in the midst of everything with their whole town, or not even the whole town, the house that Stu Marker lived in, mapped out and making a stab movie right there. And it was weird seeing Dewey involved in that when it's usually been Gale who's been writing the movie or writing the books and making movies off of it. So, um, yeah, this was a little bit harder for me to like. It's probably, if I'm being completely honest, the one I like the least within the series. I know there's a lot of mixed emotions here on this particular movie, but that's okay. Like everyone's got their opinion. I know a lot of people rank this up high. For me right now, it's ranking at the third spot, and trust me, guys, this might drop down to the last spot. It's not that I like despise the movie. I just think every other movie's better from what I remember, and I think I'm gonna hold to that because I think the next few movies that I watch, I'm pretty certain are gonna be much better than the third one. But that's gonna do it here for this video, guys. If you wanna recommend any movies, please do so. I love recommendations. I'm open to anything really in the horror genre. I don't care if it's cringy or if it's just not well done. I'll watch it, and I actually don't mind watching foreign ones either. Even if I had to sit there and read subtitles, I'll do that. Some of those are actually pretty good. I just watched the French one. I think I mentioned this yesterday. With sharks, and it was kind of a nice one. With the mako shark, or I believe it was a mako shark, but it was really cool to see, and I do enjoy watching a bunch of different movies. So if you have any recommendations, make sure to leave those in the comments. If you want to help out and help me get some movies here, Amazon wishlist is linked. Obviously, if you guys send me something, I'm going to be making a short for that, giving you a little shout out, doing an unopening or an box opening, which I thought would be a good idea to do. We got to get to that point though. First, got to get a following, so we'll kind of see how it goes. But I appreciate you guys for stopping on by, and we'll see you